Hello friends, welcome back. I hope you are taking care of yourself and your family members in this outbreak of coronavirus. So in my last lecture, I discussed about the central character of the novel The Great Gatsby. J. Gatsby was the character we discussed yesterday, and we were about to end that lecture saying that the character of J. Gatsby symbolizes the disappointment or disillusionment of the American dream. So that is the important character that we discussed yesterday. So today we will be going on with the other remaining characters in the novel, and if possible, today we will also look at the themes and sub-themes that are seen in this particular novel. So the next important character is Nick Carraway. Nick Carraway is the narrator, the main part of the novel. He is the narrator of the novel. Throughout the novel, we see that he is the only narrator who keeps telling us the story of J. Gatsby. And for the most part of the novel, he seems to be like a character who is not involved much in the action, but is a observer of other people's actions and behaviors. He is like an interpreter for the readers. The way he observes he observes J. Gatsby, the way he observes Jordan, the way he observes the relationship between Tom and Daisy, the way he observes the relation between Daisy and J. Gatsby. So we look at this character as a commentator rather than an active character in this particular novel. No doubt he is an active character, he is one of the most important characters, but still we see that his role is that of a commentator. He keeps on telling us, narrating the story. So how is this character? He is also like J. Gatsby, he is young. Nevertheless, he is not as rich as J. Gatsby. In fact, he has traveled far from midwestern part of America to this Long Island in order to make some fortune. So he is into bond business, and he has come there to find a new life for himself in this city of New York, in this Long Island, an area where all the rich and aristocratic people are living. And he happens to be a neighbor to J. Gatsby, and he is at the receiving end of the stories that are told about the character of J. Gatsby. One fine evening, he is invited by Mr. J. Gatsby for his parties, and then onwards, he develops friendly relationships with J. Gatsby, and this friendship continues throughout the novel, even at the end of the story. And then we see that he has earlier friendship and acquaintance with Tom and Daisy. Daisy happens to be his distant cousin, and Tom happens to be his old classmate. So he was well known to them, but how this relationship slowly gets deteriorated because of the attitudes and behaviors of Tom, we see as it happens in this particular novel. Another interesting factor we need to underline about this character is that he is like he is a helper. He is ready to help anyone in need. For example, it might be Nick who wants to take him to New York. He joins him, he accompanies it's Tom. Okay, if Tom wants to go to New York, Nick is there to accompany him all the time. It is Nick who arranges for a reunion between J. Gatsby and his old girlfriend Daisy. So he acts as a mediator. Rather, for a good reason, he acts like a person who helps in creating relations and bonds once again. And he values friendship and relations to the core. We are not certain about his relationship with the character called Jordan. He finds her attractive, but he is not very sure whether he should fall in love with Jordan Baker or not, because he seems to feel that all the people living in that particular society are a little corrupt and they are not quite straightforward. They are some sort of hypocrites, and he is making these observations silently. Further, so he plays a great role in this novel. He becomes a live evidence to all the events that are happening in the life of Tom and Daisy, that the events happening in the life of Daisy and Gatsby, the events happening in the life of Jordan Baker. He is like a live witness. He is the live witness for the fall of this American dream. He is the live witness of the disillusionment of the hedonistic lifestyle that the people in Long Island were living. So being a narrator, he plays his role extremely well, and ultimately we see him to be a really great human being, because among all the other corrupt people, he is the one who is non-corrupt, who values friendships and emotions of the people. He is innocent. All the people surrounding him are in one or the other way corrupt, or they are either hypocrites or corrupt. Nick Carraway is also a very extremely humanitarian character. He values human life, and this part we see when he arranges for the funeral of his friend Jay Gatsby. In fact, Jay Gatsby was not a relative to Nick Carraway. It was Daisy and Tom who were earlier related to him. But when he sees that the world is like this, the world is self-centered, the people around him are selfish, he keeps up his promise to his old friend, dead friend, Jay Gatsby. It is he who arranges for the funeral of Jay Gatsby and carries out the duties of a good friend. In fact, he calls so many people who were acquaintances to Mr. Jay Gatsby, and nobody turns up for the funeral. Nick Carraway feels extremely bad, and he feels so helpless about the human situation that once this man, Jay Gatsby, who was arranging such lavish parties, today when he is dead, there is no one to come and attend the funeral. So he feels extremely sad as well as helpless about the state of human being, and he finds that it is all a sort of illusion that people are running behind. People dream, people aspire to become rich and live a luxurious lifestyle, but it is all belonging to the hypocrites. True people are very less to be found in the roaring 20s. This is what he comes to a conclusion towards the end of the novel, when he arranges for the funeral of his friend Jay Gatsby, and he sees that his father, Jay Gatsby's father, has attended the funeral, and he speaks something positive about his son. After looking at all these incidents, after witnessing everything about the society of East Egg and West Egg in the Long Island, finally Nick Carraway decides to leave that place and go back to Minnesota, where he came from. So the return of Nick Carraway is extremely symbolic. It is symbolic of the people who realized at an early stage, who realized that simply pursuing this American dream in a materialistic way is waste of time, waste of life. So he returns to Minnesota, where he came from. So throughout the novel, you see that Nick Carraway is one of the most beautiful, wonderful and most humane characters in this particular novel. He is non-corrupt, he is innocent, and he knows how to value friendships and emotions of the people around him. Although we have to acknowledge his greatness, Nick Carraway, although he is not the hero of the novel, he is extremely great because he has listened to various versions of stories related to this man Jay Gatsby. But when Jay Gatsby is with him, Nick Carraway is being extremely friendly without a single doubt about this man. He carries out his duties towards the friendship that he has established with Jay Gatsby. So this is how you see that this is a sort of ideal character portrayed by Fitzgerald in this particular novel. And then the next characters that we have are Daisy Buchanan and Tom Buchanan, and the last one will be Jordan Baker. Of course, there are few more characters, but we will be discussing these important characters first. So coming to the character of Daisy Buchanan, she has several roles to play in this novel. First, she plays the role of a friendly cousin to Nick Carraway. She plays the role of a dutiful wife to Tom Buchanan, as well as she tries to play, remember the word, I'm not using the word she is playing, but she is trying to play the role of lover to her ex-boyfriend, J. Gatsby. So we see this particular character in multiple angles. Daisy is a young, beautiful woman. She is the symbol of richness, aristocracy, and sophistication that the American society demanded in those roaring 20s. So she is like a symbol of richness. She was pursued by many men, and achieving this lady or having this lady in life was the dream of any rich man in that part of in those times of America. So she is symbolized as such kind of a woman. So coming to the characters of this particular lady character, Daisy, who seems to be like the female protagonist of the novel, one important thing we need to remember is she is extremely money minded. She values only money and not the relations. For example, when she was earlier in relationship with J. Gatsby, she rejected his proposal for marriage because he was not belonging to her sophisticated and aristocratic class. And then she marries Tom Buchanan only for his richness, even though she knows that she does not love him at all. So the life of Daisy is motivated by only one pursuit, that is of material pleasures. She wants richness. She wants luxury. And when she goes to the mansion of J. Gatsby on his invitation, she feels excited and amazed at the lavishness of his wealth. So she is impressed by only one thing, that is money. And in fact, poor fellow J. Gatsby pursues for her madly, and it is only in her pursuit he becomes a rich man, although because of corruption. And Daisy is shown to be a materialistic woman and is confused. She is confused when, see, earlier she is in relationship with Tom Buchanan because she is his wife, and then when she meets J. Gatsby, out of a sudden, coincidence, or rather out of a sudden meeting, she starts feeling again the same kind of love towards J. Gatsby. So she is confused with whom should she go. But ultimately it is money which wins. Of course, now J. Gatsby is rich, but when Tom Buchanan says that J. Gatsby has earned money with a lot of wrong ways, like organized crime and bootlegging, Daisy wants to be safe and secure, so she conspires with Tom and she remains with Tom. So here we see that she wants security. She is a self-centered woman. She does not care for the feelings of J. Gatsby, and even in fact she does not care for her own feelings towards J. Gatsby. She knows she loves J, but she remains with Tom because of his wealth and richness. Further, we see that this character, just like the other characters that are commonly seen in this particular novel, even Daisy is a corrupt woman. In what way I call her corrupt? The episode of the accident reminds us and confirms us once again that Daisy is a corrupt woman. It was Daisy who was driving the car when the car hit Myrtle and killed her. But now she wants to be safe, so she makes Gatsby the target. She knows that it was Gatsby's car, so when Tom tries to conspire with her, she agrees, and it is only for the sake of her own security, that she escapes from the place when the murder of J. Gatsby takes place. So here we see that she is extremely corrupt and fickle-minded. She is not stable kind of a woman. So looking at all these circumstances, we see that she is a heartless woman and she values only money, materialism and luxurious lifestyle. She does not bother about the feelings and security of others, but she wants herself to be secure in life. So you see that although she is a protagonist, female protagonist, there are lots of negative shades in her personality. So that is about the character of Daisy. This character also symbolizes the very proverb, all that glitters is not gold. Because to look at the outset, this woman, Daisy, looks extremely sophisticated and she is extremely beautiful in her looks. But inside her mind, she has no feelings or emotions of sympathy, of love. All her life, all her feelings are driven only by the desire for money and wealth. So here you see, this is the negative shade that is seen in the character of Daisy Buchanan, and in fact indirectly she becomes the reason for the doom of the hero of the novel, J. Gatsby. If we just think about the plot, if she had accepted her mistake that it was she who was driving, maybe she could have saved J. Gatsby's life. But she puts J. Gatsby in a doom and escapes from the place, conspiring with her own husband. And that is how you see that this character is extremely negative in her shade, in her personality. And then we have another important character, that is Tom Buchanan. Of course, he is the symbol of brute. And in fact, it is his own wife who agrees that he is like a brute, he is like an animal. He is extremely a rough kind of a man, an old person, old in age, and he seems to be tyrannical. He does not want, and he is also a hypocrite. Why I call him a hypocrite? You see, he has an extramarital affair with Myrtle Wilson and he does not tell about it to his wife. And on the other hand, when he comes to know about his wife's affair or the feelings for J. Gatsby, he cannot tolerate it. So we see that he is a complete hypocrite. He is extremely arrogant in his behavior. Whenever he talks to Nick Carraway, whenever he talks to Jordan Baker, he talks to Daisy, he is extremely rough in his speech. He is not a soft-spoken person, and he argues extremely harsh with people around him. So we see lots of negative shades in this particular character of Tom. Tom is a wealthy man and he has created a self-image, a great self-image of himself in the society by becoming a rich aristocratic man, and at the same time he wants to spoil the image of the other rich person, J. Gatsby. In this novel, he makes lots of investigations about the wealth, about the ways in which J. Gatsby amassed so much wealth, and thereby he is trying to bring down the image of J. Gatsby in the mind of Daisy Buchanan. So it's a kind of a war strategy that he is using against some person to victimize others. And on the other occasion, we also find that Tom is extremely an opportunist. He is opportunist because he is just waiting for opportunities to take revenge on anyone who comes in his way. For example, it may be George Wilson, who was some sort of a man, I mean, who was the husband of his girlfriend, so he wanted to avoid this man, and in fact, he uses this man for a murder. And on the other occasion, you see that he is an opportunist because he wanted to take revenge on J. Gatsby. So at the end of the novel, we see that this man tries to spoil the image of J. Gatsby in front of his wife, and in fact, when he knows that his wife was driving the car and it is his wife who made the accident, but he takes the opportunity to punish J. Gatsby for having interfered in his marriage life and accuses him of murdering his girlfriend Myrtle Wilson. Thereby, his revenge is completed. He has taken revenge for two causes. One, he felt J. Gatsby as an enemy, as a threat to his marriage. Second reason, he took J. Gatsby's life, or he rather became a reason for J. Gatsby's murder to take revenge for Myrtle Wilson's death. Myrtle Wilson was his girlfriend who died in that bloody accident, and to take revenge for even that, Tom Buchanan uses George Wilson and thereby proves himself to be an opportunist. He is already waiting for taking revenge against J. Gatsby. So this is another brutish character in this novel. So here is the antagonist. Antagonist, we know it is the villainous character. So definitely it is Tom Buchanan who is the villain of this story, who happens to be a rough, dangerous and opportunist man. He has his own image in the society as a rich man, and he doesn't tolerate others becoming rich or becoming more powerful than him. So that is about the character of Tom Buchanan. The next character and the themes we will be discussing in my next lecture. Thank you so much.